Hello viewers, Bullseye Movies thinks few characters in the young Sheldon universe inspire as much affection, loyalty, and protective instinct from fans as Connie Meemaw Tucker. Sharp-tongued, fiercely loving, morally flexible, and endlessly entertaining, Meemaw has long served as the emotional counterweight to Mary Cooper's rigidity and Sheldon's rules. So it's no surprise that even the idea of Meemaw being replaced, or recast, has sparked intense debate, anxiety, and imaginative theorizing across the fandom. This episode-length review dives headfirst into those fan theories, examining not only the speculation surrounding a possible Meemaw replacement, but also what such a decision could mean for the broader future of the young Sheldon universe, including Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Whether Meemaw's absence is temporary, permanent, symbolic, or structural, the ripple effects could fundamentally reshape character dynamics, emotional tone, and narrative direction. Rather than treating these theories as idle chatter, this review approaches them as a lens through which fans are expressing deeper concerns about legacy, continuity, emotional authenticity, and how much of young Sheldon's heart can survive change. Before unpacking the theories, it's essential to understand why Meemaw occupies such a central place in the franchise. Unlike many sitcom grandparents, Meemaw was never relegated to the background. She wasn't just comic relief or a convenient babysitter, she was a philosophical force. Meemaw represented freedom in a world obsessed with rules. Where Mary leaned into faith and discipline, Meemaw leaned into pragmatism and emotional honesty. She smoked, gambled, bent the law, and loved her family unapologetically. For Sheldon, she was a paradox. Someone who broke every rule yet somehow made more sense than anyone else. For Georgie, she was an ally. For Missy, a confidant. For viewers, she was a reminder that kindness doesn't always look polite, and that love can be sharp-edged and still genuine. Any discussion of replacing Meemaw, therefore, isn't really about casting logistics. It's about whether the show can survive without one of its emotional load-bearing walls. One of the most dominant fan theories isn't simply that Meemaw might be replaced, it's that the idea of replacement misunderstands her role entirely. Many fans argue that Meemaw is irreplaceable not because of who plays her, but because of what she represents. In this view, recasting Meemaw would feel less like continuity and more like erasure. The character's history, relationships, and emotional shorthand are so deeply embedded that a new portrayal could feel like a hollow imitation, no matter how skilled the actor. This theory suggests that the show would be better served by reinventing the role Meemaw played rather than literally replacing her. Instead of introducing a new Meemaw, the series could allow her absence to create a vacuum, one that other characters must struggle to fill in their own imperfect ways. That struggle, fans argue, could be dramatically rich. Another popular theory suggests the show won't recast Meemaw directly, but will introduce a new character who fulfills some of her narrative functions without attempting to replicate her personality. This could be a neighbor, extended family member, or even an unrelated figure who becomes emotionally significant to the Coopers and McAllisters. The key, according to fans, is that this character would not try to be Meemaw, but would instead offer a different kind of support. In this model, the show acknowledges that Meemaw is gone, or less present, and allows characters to form new bonds that feel organic rather than forced. The emotional resonance would come from comparison rather than substitution. Moments where characters realize how much they miss Meemaw precisely because no one else can quite replace her. This theory aligns well with the franchise's history of letting relationships evolve slowly rather than resetting dynamics overnight. More controversial fan theory argues that recasting Meemaw wouldn't just change the character, it would fundamentally alter the tone of the entire universe. Meemaw's humor was rooted in authenticity. Her sarcasm worked because it felt lived in, earned, and emotionally grounded. Fans worry that a recast Meemaw might lean too heavily into caricature, turning sharp wit into gimmick and wisdom into punchlines. If that happens, the show risks drifting away from the grounded dramedy tone that defined its later seasons. What was once emotionally layered could become overly sitcom-y, undermining the franchise's hard-earned maturity. According to this theory, recasting Meemaw wouldn't just be risky, it could signal a creative shift away from character-driven storytelling towards safer, broader comedy. Much of the anxiety around Meemaw's potential replacement stems from her importance in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. In that series, Meemaw often acts as a bridge between generations, offering commentary that grounds the younger character's impulsiveness. Fans speculate that without Meemaw, Georgie and Mandy's marriage could feel even more precarious. Meemaw was one of the few people who could challenge Georgie without belittling him, and one of the few who could see Mandy's ambitions without judging them. Her absence could amplify conflict rather than soothe it, and that may be exactly the point. Some fans believe the show is intentionally removing stabilizing forces to accelerate Georgie and Mandy's eventual split, making Meemaw's absence a subtle but powerful narrative accelerant. One of the most emotionally resonant fan theories suggests that Meemaw's future role may be symbolic rather than physical. In this vision, Meemaw remains central to the show through memory, influence, and emotional inheritance. Characters reference her advice, repeat her sayings, or make decisions based on what they believe she would have wanted. This approach treats Meemaw not as a character who needs screen time, but as a legacy that shapes behavior even in absence. Fans who favor this theory argue it's the most respectful option, one that honors the character without diminishing her impact through recasting. This would also align with young Sheldon's increasing focus on how people carry loss, wisdom, and love forward rather than replacing what's gone.